Usually when someone's caught in a lie, they try to stop digging, right? You don't want to dig yourself into a hole that's going to be impossible to get out of. Well, apparently Jasmine Crockett never learned that lesson. She was caught lying about Jeffrey Epstein yesterday, and instead of apologizing, just saying, hey, I was mistaken, or look, I shouldn't have said that, instead, she asked for another shovel. She asked for a few more shovels, bigger shovels, because she wants to keep digging this hole for herself. And you know what? Kudos to CNN. Kudos to Kaitlan Collins for actually fact-checking her and calling her out on this. I mean, how dumb does Jasmine Crockett think we are? As dumb as she is, take a look.
Talked about Republicans taking money from a Jeffrey Epstein. Here's what you said.
Who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly. Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, Win Red, McCain Palin, Rick Lazio.
You mentioned Lee Zeldin there. He's now a cabinet secretary. He responded and said it was actually Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, who's a doctor that doesn't have any relation to the convicted sex trafficker. Unfortunate for that doctor, but that is who donated to a prior campaign of his. Do you want to correct the record on the people that you...
Listen, I never said that it was that Jeffrey Epstein. Just so that people understand, when you make a donation, your picture is not there. And because they decided to spring this on us in real time, I wanted the Republicans to think about what could potentially happen, because I knew that they didn't even try to go through the FEC. So my team, what they did is they Googled, and that is specifically why I said a Jeffrey Epstein. Unlike Republicans, I at least don't go out and just tell lies. Because it was not the same one, that's fine. But when Lee Zeldin had something to say, all he had to say was it was a different Jeffrey Epstein. He admitted that he did receive donations from a Jeffrey Epstein, so at least I wasn't trying to mislead people. Now, have I dug in to find out who this doctor is? I have not. So I will trust and take what he says, is that it wasn't that Jeffrey Epstein, but I was not attempting to mislead anybody. I literally had maybe 20 minutes before I had to do that debate.
Yeah, but people might see that and say, well, you're trying to make it sound like he took money from
I did not know.
A registered sex offender.
No, but I literally did not know. When you search FEC files, and that's what I had my team to do, I texted them and I said, listen, we're going up. They are saying that she took donations.
Right, but someone might say, well, your team should have done the homework to make sure it wasn't the convicted sex trafficker.
Within 20 minutes, you could not find that out, not from just doing a quick search on FEC. So, number one, I made sure that I was clear that it was a Jeffrey Epstein, but I never said that it was specifically that Jeffrey Epstein, because I knew that we would need more time to really dig in.
Jasmine. It doesn't matter if you have 20 minutes or if you have 20 days. If you haven't had enough time to do research, if you don't know the facts, then you should not go out there on the floor of the House and make unsubstantiated claims. You want to claim on the one hand, oh, we didn't know, we didn't have enough time to do this research, and then on the other hand, you're claiming, oh, I did this on purpose. I said a Jeffrey Epstein. Well, which is it? You didn't know, or you did know and you were just trying to trick Republicans and teach them a lesson about being careful with their words. How does that even make sense? Also, what you just said is actually a lie. You're claiming that you said on the floor of the House, a Jeffrey Epstein. Actually, no. You said somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, the implication here being obvious. You actually quoted Kaitlan Collins before she introduced that segment fact-checking you. So even in the moment, you can't keep your lies straight. Now, this is just, I mean, for her to claim that, oh, it was just a coincidence and we knew it probably wasn't the right one, and so that's why I was being careful with my words. Why bring him up in the first place? Unless you were trying to insinuate, and again, guilt through association, put two dots on the map and assume that the viewer, the listener, is going to connect those two dots in their head. Why bring up the name Jeffrey Epstein at all in the first place, right? I mean, there are 348 million Americans. Any one of them, well, minus babies who don't have credit cards, but most of them could give donations. Why didn't you point out, oh, Billy Bob gave to Lee Zeldin or Jane Doe gave to Lee Zeldin? The reason you don't point out random people is because they're just random people. They don't matter. Just like a random Jeffrey Epstein who is not connected, not related, has no affiliation to the original, the infamous Jeffrey Epstein doesn't matter in terms of national conversation, right? You didn't point out anyone else. The reason you named him specifically is because you wanted that connection to be made. You wanted your low information, your low IQ voters, who apparently are as dumb as you are, to fall for the most obvious and worst lie of the year. I mean, they should create a new TV show. Can you lie better than a fifth grader? I like, that is one of the worst public displays I've ever seen. And for her to not even have a shed, an ounce of embarrassment, gives me secondhand embarrassment for her. But that was not the only lie that Jasmine Crockett told. She was confronted about Stacey Plaskett, who was, the House representative who was caught texting with Jeffrey Epstein during a House hearing. She initiated that text and basically was trying to get inside information so that she could ask questions in the floor of the House. Again, obvious here that would be a conflict of interest. Well, apparently Jasmine Crockett sees nothing wrong with it and was giving a full-throated defense of Plaskett. And even there, she was wrong. She was lying.
Take her off of her committee because he decided to text her. Stacey didn't initiate that chain. Jeffrey initiated that chain, and she took the information. Just like if somebody texts me.
Yeah, but she was responding and saying, what are you talking about? Quick, I'm up next. And then her questions were about Rona. But do you think that was inappropriate? I mean, would you text with someone who is a registered sex offender about what you should ask?
I honestly know that he had never been convicted of any federal crimes at that time.
But he had been in jail already.
He had been in jail.
Deal.
And my deal is this. The Republicans are constantly texting with a 34-count convicted felon. So if it's okay for them to text him at any point in time, then I'm not going to say that that's right or wrong, especially to the extent that you're talking about kicking someone off their committee. Were they sexting? Was it a matter of her being involved in the pedophilia? No, it was nothing like that. She was trying to understand. Let's say Jeffrey Epstein said, you know what? I have these pictures, these salacious pictures, because I know.
Yeah, so Jasmine Crockett out there was just lying about that. Plaskett was the one who initiated those texts with Jeffrey Epstein. In fact, Plaskett herself was confronted about initiating these texts. And had she not done that, she would have pushed back on the CNN host. She would have fact-checked them and said, hey, actually, no, he reached out to me. But she didn't do that at all because, well, text messages, they speak for themselves. Here's Plaskett being confronted and fact-checked about this on CNN.
Right, but on that day that we're talking about, you initiated the text exchange at 7:55 in the morning. So why were you even texting with Epstein at the time? He was a known sex offender then.
Sure. I explained to people, I've been a prosecutor for many years. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of people who have information that are not your friends that you use to get information to get at the truth.
Yeah, she never once corrected the CNN host because she was the one who initiated that with Epstein. So that speaks for itself. What we're witnessing here is the Democrat Party getting exactly what they wanted. They wanted the Epstein files released, as well as a lot of Republicans, right? But the difference is that the Democrats wanted to weaponize this to take down President Trump, to take down the Republicans. But instead, this entire situation is boomeranging on them. Instead, different Democrats are being caught in the crosshairs and they're being exposed for liars. They're being exposed for, crossing ethical and moral boundaries, such as Plaskett with this conflict of interest, with texting with Epstein. There is a very, very big difference when it comes to texting with a pedophile versus texting the President of the United States. And as far as the convictions against President Trump, we all know that what happened in New York was the sham trial. We all know that they rewrote the law so that they could get him because the statute of limitations had expired. And it turns out that this lie is already beginning to define Jasmine Crockett's legacy in the House. But before we get to that, I would like to acknowledge the members of today's Governor's Club. They are Jenny Rankin, Kathleen Nyde, Marvelous, Marv, Book of Leaves, and Judy Jamison. These are people who give tips and super thanks to the channel. Thank you so much, and I'm glad that you enjoy. So James Comer was on the floor of the House, and he was reading this email sent from a Democrat fundraising group, and they worked in tandem with Hakeem Jeffrey's team, and they sent this email directly to Jeffrey Epstein, and they were trying to fundraise and get money from this pedophile, this sex offender, to help out the Democrat cause. Not only was this an embarrassing moment for Hakeem Jeffries, but it also turned into a punchline against Jasmine Crockett.
So let's read it to make sure. To Jeffrey Epstein, and that's the real Jeffrey Epstein, not Jasmine Crockett's Jeffrey Epstein. This is the real Jeffrey Epstein. From Hakeem Jeffries' campaign.
Yeah, I just absolutely love that, and I hope it's not the last time we see someone do that on the floor of the House. Maybe they'll start calling it a Crockett or something. Don't pull a Crockett. No, I meant that person. Whatever. Jasmine, you did this to yourself, honey. As always, though, all of this is just my analysis and commentary. That's what's happening in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So what do you think is going on in Jasmine Crockett's head? Do you think she really thinks the rest of us are that stupid and that we actually believe her lies? Or do you think she's dumb enough to actually believe her own lies? She thinks she's actually, fooling the rest of us. Like, what? I just cannot imagine being that dense, that stubborn, and that willing to make a fool out of yourself on public television and then to double down and just keep digging that hole. What do you think she's thinking? Is she like that narcissistic? Yeah, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you haven't already, please be sure to leave me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you in the algorithm. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.